Welcome, everybody, guys and gals. Welcome to the Echoes Across Time podcast. Today's episode is about, we have some great guests. Title of this episode is Inside Priority Groups, Coordinating Care When Families Need It the Most. We're going to have guest input. We're going to talk about the geriatric community. We're going to talk about Echoes Across Time, My Digital Memories, Jeff K Studios, just a little bit. We'll touch on that. But a majority of this will be we'll talk about home care, healthcare, staffing, NHTD, TBI waiver support, and other good stuff. So with that being said, welcome to the show today. We're going to go into a deep dive, what it actually looks like to coordinate care for an aging or medically complex family member. My main guest is part of Priority Groups and the owner of it. And I've also got guests joining with their own perspective along the way. Priority Group gives no, skip that part. So with that being the case, let's walk through it. When is a family, well, before I get into that, Segun, why don't you give a brief overview of the priority groups?
Yeah, yeah. Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure to again officially meet. Priority Group Services, we are a company that provides home care services in New York and New Jersey. We've been around for the last 8 to 9 years. Originally started in New York, providing what the service is called CDPAP, and then we pivoted into becoming Elixir in New York, and then also becoming a home care agency in New Jersey. So those are some of our services. We provide more than just home care services. We also provide staffing services for skilled nursing, working with different facilities compared to such as hospital, nursing homes, and everything else of that nature. So that's basically our company in a quick nutshell.
So are you limited to New York in New Jersey?
Um, Great question. Yes, we are mainly focused in New York and New Jersey in terms of our home care services. When it comes to our staffing services, we are able to expand into different counties or different states. But besides that, we're mainly in New York and New Jersey for our home care services.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
And Seymour, I know you created the Geriatric Advisory Council, or the GAC. Why don't you give us a brief overview of that?
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you for hosting, producing, and everything you put together these, quite a few months already with some really good podcasts, specifically working with the senior population and the needs. First of all, Segun, congratulations on the amount of time. Keeping a business together at this day and age is a struggle. Getting the right employees, the loyalty, we know how hard it is. Families are struggling. The Advisory Council started almost 20 years ago in New Jersey, just having some in-person meetings with professionals, discussing what was going on. The doctors, the elder law attorneys, assisted living, they said to me in a very nice way, you have your finger on the pulse of the senior community, helping families. You know what's going on way more than just the scope of medical or legal documents or moving into a facility. And thank goodness it's grown huge due to Zoom. We have now a good few hundred members from California all the way to New England. I thank you, Segun, for so many years of your support and friendship and membership. And of course, Jeff, one of the original founders, as soon as we started to get the meetings out there and on Zoom, Jeff was there supporting me with a lot of good things with artificial intelligence, getting the word out. But thank goodness, the best part about me helping families, besides feeling good at the end of the day, anything that the families that I help in need of resources go to the members of the group. Segun, without getting in there, you've helped out with family members in New York. It was just, completely overnight change to the families with the great people that you had there. But Jeff, what are you doing with my digital memories, but most of all with Jeff K Studios? You put together a few different packages now that all kind of lock into each other. maybe you could just take a moment before we get back to Segun to let everybody know how important these things are, keeping everybody safe and healthy.
Thanks, Seymour, for the intro. Well, my company started with a company called My Digital Memories, and what they do is we preserve, protect, and organize your family memories for future generations. What does that mean? That means we digitize photo albums, slides, film, pretty much anything media. And we scan the backs of the photos. We capture any information about the photo. We do storytelling. We do much, much more. Then all that changed after incident that I went through, and it expanded into Jeff K Studios, which focuses on the elder care community and embraces all that. So if you get a chance, please visit My Digital Memories, and we can take it from there.
Excellent. So important, Jeff, to have everything under one umbrella with you, that people looking for things that they're going to need and they don't even realize that's out there now. I mean, that's just really, really good. The digital bracelets to help somebody if there was a wandering or if they're lost, immediate contact, having all those things under one roof of legal documents and important stuff that just get lost during an emergency. So it's all locked in, and it's just so important to give these families peace of mind. I wanted to ask Segun, jump back for a moment. Segun, what are you seeing now up here in 2026 from when you started? What are the big needs that families are calling you? I know it's always an event or an emergency, but can you just elaborate a little bit more what some of these calls are coming in?
Yeah, great question. And Seymour, for you, thank you again for being a part of your network, right? I think it's been extremely helpful for us being able to connect the dots, especially when there's services that we can't provide that other members can provide. So I think it's been just a great collaboration altogether. But to answer your question, when it comes to individuals looking for particular services, when they're looking for that service, I think normally it's for emergency purposes, right? They're not calling because they need it in maybe 2 to 3 months. They call in because they need it sometime tomorrow or even yesterday, right? So I think what we're really seeing in the situations is that level of trust in terms of the collaborations, because of individuals are now wanting to know the agencies more. They don't want to just select one agency that this just calls them one time and then that's it. Because I believe there's, I'm not saying it's saturated the industry, but there's a lot of availability for people to do research on agencies to see who they really want to work with. So what we have noticed is, as we see it as where individuals looking for services, they're really interviewing the agency to understand and see if we meet the same values that they meet, right? If we have the same level of respect, same level of courtesy, right? Because if they want to work with an agency that can be understanding on the same level. So I think that's something that is very important that we're seeing more of. And then now when it comes to, we've been speaking about it, the whole innovation with AI, right? Family members can now easily, they don't have to even go on Google. They can just open up their AI system and say, tell me about this, tell me about priority groups, tell me about priority cares, right? How long have they been around, right? And basically that's that, right? So it allows for them to easily be able to assess agencies to see if they're going to be a good fit. So that's, I think, a good plus for individuals just trying to find out which agencies are matched. Because I think finding a match for an agency is very important. Because for us as well, I've learned over these years that every client isn't going to be for us, right? And vice versa too, right? Because there has to be a connection and there has to be a mutual level of transparency and accountability on both sides. So sometimes one individual might work for us, and if it doesn't work for us, if potentially we can refer them to another agency that we know that can work with them, right? So I think there's always a scenario where we can be able to work as a partner with other agencies, because I don't see in the industry of home care, there's always a level of competition. With any other business, there's competition. But I see that there's still a level of partnership that can come from it, right? So that's what I feel like it's really changing in terms of the level of agencies, but also now clients themselves now having access to really evaluate which agency is right for them and using AI to help assess that too.
So you always have to be one step ahead, make sure that you know what's going on in the industry and meet those needs. But you're not just home care. If someone is in need of home modification, home cleaning, mom's been out of the house 7, 8 weeks from hospital and rehab, maybe there's things that they need to be organized. You can provide other services and help them with the ancillary thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. Like, there's like I was mentioning earlier to Jeff, we are also a licensed staffing agency as well. So we can provide skilled nursing services, and we can also provide maintenance services as well. So we have done that for clients. Sometimes it's for one client, and sometimes it may not be for another client because of maybe the cost might not be always be there. So we're always understanding about that. But what we do notice a lot of times, for example, we've had situations that's, a client wants services in their home, but unfortunately their home is not in the condition to receive the services, meaning that a caregiver will go there and they will like say, I'll be right back. And unfortunately they won't come back because their living condition is just, it's difficult for an individual to be able to stay in a home for a certain amount of hours when the living condition isn't the best. So we've had situations like that come up, and that's when we know, like, hey, we need to activate some level of cleaning services if it's possible, right? Sometimes the family member can get it. Sometimes we have to kind of like pull some money together and see if we can, put them on like a plan and then kind of get it done so we can get the services in there. So it's again always a different situation. But
always a challenge.
And it's always a not one box fits all scenario, right?
Yeah.
Because I think everybody, when they're reaching out to us, we know that it's an emergency, so we understand that they're going through a lot. So we want to try to be a solution for their problem. So, and also kind of see what kind of plans we can help to get them to that point of getting the services they need in their home.
In the individual home care specifically, it's hourly. You can get someone to live in if necessary. You can help them with transportation. It's a little bit of everything, depending on the client needs. Is that true?
Yes, that's completely true, right? It definitely depends on the client's needs. We do something that's called an assessment, right? So we have one of our nurses that go to the client's home, does an assessment, and then kind of pre-qualifies what we believe they might need in their home. It's a little different if they're under Medicaid. It's through an assessment, but if they're under Medicaid, the insurance company makes that determination of how many hours they're covered. But if it's private pay, then we, as a company, can work with a nurse. The nurse then makes an evaluation and then makes a determination of how many hours this client may potentially need. And that's when we start working with the family to figure out the next steps.
Well, that's the most important. It's done with a great medical evaluation from an RN. It's not just put together, I think we need something. It's done right from the beginning, which, in my words, it's the right foundation. You have to build that foundation and then go forward. And if it doesn't work, they need some more hours, you'll be able to provide and help them out. And sometimes coming back from a hospital or a 4-week rehab, they'll need somebody to live in, and you're giving them that peace of mind with quality people that have been with you. And that's just the most important. That's what people are looking for, the comfort zone, and just be with somebody that'll answer a phone call, get back to them. That's all they're really looking for. And you're providing that, so that's great. Jeff, go ahead. You had a couple of questions that you knew you wanted to get answered from Segun. Go ahead, please.
Oh, thanks. Now, it's my understanding you work with something called NHTD and a TBI waiver program. What is that?
That's a great question. So it's called Nursing Home Transition Diversion Program. It's a waiver program under Medicaid in New York City or New York State. My apologies. And basically, it's a program for individuals that are under Medicaid that might need additional services. The plus thing about this is even if they're on an insurance plan with Medicaid, they can still be able to have access to these services, right? Again, like I said, everything doesn't, every case is different. But if they are pre-qualified by the state does their own evaluation, does a phone conversation, ask them what services they're looking for, collect some information, and then they determine if this individual may potentially qualify for the services. And then we go through a whole process of completing the paperwork. And that's where our company, as Priority Groups and Priority Cares, comes in to help that individual with that process once they have been pre-qualified for the services. But the great thing about it, just to kind of jump in, there's a range of services: respite services, physical therapy services, social work services. Like, they can get a therapy services that can come into their home and be able to provide the services. And the beautiful thing about this is the goal is to make sure that the individual can stay in the community for as long as possible. Right. We know that there are situations that's unfortunate, that it gets to a point where an individual may no longer be able to stay in the community and has to go into a nursing home or something to that nature. Right. But the waiver program's goal is to make sure that we can allow for individuals of that to choose to be able to stay in the community for as long as possible, but have these services activated so they can remain in the home and basically get these services to ensure they're still in a good position, right? They're not being left alone. They're not being unattended to. And what can happen from that, unfortunate situations can have, come up in the past when people unfortunately don't receive the services and they're home by themselves, not getting everything that they need, and they unfortunately may pass away in their home by themselves, right? So again, this program is a great add-on to home care services that individuals are receiving. So home care services is just like one aspect of it, but this program, NHTD-TBI, is another add-on service that can be activated together, right? So now it's a real well-rounded solution for individuals that might not just need just home care services. They might need a therapist to have therapy session with. They might need somebody to help them when it comes to, scheduling some of their appointments, right? So it's really thinking about it as an add-on altogether to allow for people to really ensure that if they need more services outside of just home care, they can get it.
You're really providing that really one thing of just ultimate peace of mind for families, that comfort
100%.
zone that they just didn't know what things are. So I'm sure you've seen people just complete shock and just don't even know what to say because they are